creating intentional deliverables for your life-changing offer. So why do our deliverables that we choose for our offer need to be full of intentionality? Because when you, as the coach, mentor, leader, facilitator, know why your offer deliverables are there to help your clients get their transformation and how your clients should be utilizing those deliverables to help them get their results, you're going to be able to communicate that clearly and effectively to your clients. And when your clients are bought in to why and how to actually use the deliverables to help them get their desired result, they are going to use your offer to its full potential. When they know why the calls are there to help them with X results, why the trainings are there to help them with X results, why messaging access is there to help them with X result, and actually how to leverage those deliverables, they're going to use them. When you communicate that to them, they're going to know how to be, quote, self-led clients and lean into the space and utilize the space, which of course is going to get them better results. And then when they get better results and the clients and the community feels really engaged because your clients are showing up, they're enthusiastic, they're getting results, they're using the deliverables, they're going to love the way that they feel in your spaces. Not only will they be getting better results, but they're just going to love the way it feels to be on engaged calls, to be in an engaged community, to be plugging into supportive spaces. And when they love the way they feel in a space, beyond their incredible results that they're getting, they're going to just keep buying. They're more likely to stay, re-sign, tell their friends, rave about you because they're just so bought in. And when everyone's showing up and getting incredible results and using the calls, and you really feel like you're having relationships with all of these people in your containers, well, you're going to love the way that the containers feel. You're going to be convicted and continuing to sell them from a place of service. And when you're convicted in your offer, period, end of story, it's going to sell better, like the end. So all of this comes down to intentional deliverables, just like we make every inch of our offer so intentional, because when we do, again, it all works. You get convicted and it sells better and your clients love it, get better results, and rave about you, spread the good word. You spread the good word, they re-sign, the business grows. It all comes back to your offers. So common mistakes that people make with deliverables is, just like in other areas of offer creation, copy pasting what another coach did just because that's how she did it without actually having intentionality. Oh, she did biweekly calls, I'll do biweekly calls. She did weekly calls, I'll do weekly calls. She gives messaging access like this, I'll give messaging access like this. But when your deliverables lack intentionality for you, you're not bought in. If it's just a copy paste because that's what she did, you're not fully bought in because it didn't come from you, and then you're less convicted in your offer. And when you're not convicted in your offer, it's harder to sell. You can have the best, quote, sales and launch strategy in the world, but I've seen it over and over and over and over again. I always say this to my clients, and I'm going to say this to you too. The most important piece of selling your offer is conviction in your offer, because if that energetically is not there, you will find a way to self-sabotage your launch. You will find a way to self-sabotage your sales process. But when your conviction is in your offer because you believe and are bought into every inch of it, including the trainings, the deliverables, the curriculum design, everything we're doing in offer art, that's when it becomes effortless to fill it because you're sold on it yourself first. So it becomes easier to sell other people on it. So when also the deliverables lack intentionality for you, they of course lack intentionality for your clients. So if you don't know why the calls are there or why the messaging access is there and how to use it, and you just threw it in because that's what other people have done, you just threw in guest coaching, you threw in messaging access, but you didn't tell clients why it's there, why it's going to help them with their transformation, how to use it, the best way to lean into the space, they don't know. They don't know, and you can't expect them to know. Even if they want to be self-led humans, you can't expect them to know, especially if they're newer to utilizing coaching. So then they don't use the container, they get worse results. You have less conviction in your offer, and again, it won't sell. Are we seeing the pattern repeats itself constantly? Another mistake I see is throwing in every deliverable under the sun inside your offer for the sake of, quote, over-delivering, but really it's coming from coach insecurity, and it lacks intentionality yet again. So I've seen this before where people are like, I want to be the savior coach, and I'm going to give clients 3 calls a week to me or 2 calls a week with me, and they're going to get Q&As, and they're going to get messaging access, and they're going to get a gajillion trainings. And it's actually coming from this place of over delivering from an insecure place, not from a, this is what I know my clients need to get incredible results, but from an insecurity place. And when that's happening and you're just throwing all of this extra support at clients, it actually overwhelms them because they don't know what they're supposed to be leaning into. Should I go to the Q&A call today or tomorrow? Should I lean into the messaging access that I also have access to her with, or should I show up to the calls? When should I be utilizing the trainings? They actually have too much support, and they're like, I don't even know the best way to use all of these, and they tap out because they don't see the intention. And this is when they get worse results. Again, if they get worse results and they don't love the way that they feel inside the space because they're overwhelmed and they're not showing up, you don't love the way you feel. And again, the pattern repeats: less conviction, less sales. Or I see this happen a lot. Coaches include too much proximity for too low a price point. And we talked a lot about this in the scalability training, but of course that builds resentment. If you're giving messaging access and one-to-one calls and a gajillion Q&A calls and a ton of proximity for too low or mid-ticket, you start to feel resentment, like, man, I am way over delivering for what I'm getting paid. This does not feel like the right energetic exchange. And then you feel resentment, but that's your fault, right? That's the coach's fault, not the client's fault. They're going to show up and use the space. It's up to you to be intentional about the deliverables and the boundaries, which of course we're talking about throughout this training. The other thing that happens here is not only resentment, but then clients have no reason to upgrade. If they're getting messaging access and audits and feedback for X amount of dollars per month, low or mid ticket, well, they have no reason to pay you more, and you just capped your income. So this is why, and of course we talked about this a lot in the offer suite training, but this is why we have low, mid, and high ticket offers with different levels of proximity. So if clients want to pay for higher proximity, that's a privilege, and there's less spots of that because you only have so much time. So that comes at a higher price point. And for the clients who want to upgrade, they will upgrade. Okay. So here's how you're going to fix it. We're going to fix it throughout this training. If any of that was you, don't worry. You're in amazing hands. This training is going to clean it all up for you, and you're going to love your offer deliverables and be so bought into your offer, and your clients are going to get incredible results and feel amazing, and you're going to love it and go get convicted and sell the crap out of it. You're going to answer the questions below in this training, and it's going to give you questions to help prompt intentional deliverables. And when you have intentional deliverables, your clients are going to know how and why they're there. They're going to use them. They're going to use it the right way. The container is going to feel amazing for you and your clients. They're going to get incredible results. And when they feel amazing and get incredible results, what do you think happens? You're convicted. It becomes easier to sell. This offer is the best thing since sliced bread. Come and get it from a place of service. Your clients are happy. They keep buying. They tell their friends. Sales increase. Impact increases, all because you were intentional about your offers. It always comes back to that. So let's dive in. Okay. These are the questions that I'm going to go through and prompt you with, and your action step at the end will be to answer these so that you can create the intentional deliverables for your offer. So number 1, how are your clients learning the skill sets, action steps, and who they need to be and how they need to operate to get X result? So if you did the curriculum design training, which you should have by now, this is really going to be that. This is almost 100% of the time going to be your video or audio trainings, or however you're delivering the teaching part of your work. Here's what to do, the teaching part. This is everything that we're going to be outlining in curriculum design. And this, by the way, is why I've never been a fan of masterminds that are just coaching calls with no included learning materials. Like, all you get is bi-weekly coaching calls with me, because I feel that the learning of what to do, how to do it, gives your clients their focus and their roadmap. They have something to be sinking their teeth into. They have a direction. They know what they're supposed to be working on. And then the coaching, I'm actually going to add this right here. The coaching is more of the help with the implementation, right? That's the coaching and the mentorship around it. Okay, so here, this is why I don't just love coaching calls that don't include materials. So I highly suggest always having some kind of learning materials for your clients to sink their teeth into in all of your spaces. This is why in the Trailblazers and my highest proximity mastermind, Amplify Mastermind, those clients just get included access to all of my trainings, like all of the micro programs I do, because I want them sinking their teeth into those learning materials, that teaching, and then we can go deeper when we facilitate more feedback, deepening Q&As on that material, which is what I'm about to get into now. So what feedback or deepening will help facilitate excellent execution of the work your clients are doing inside of the offer to get X transformation. This is the coaching piece. So you have the teaching style, here's how to do X, but then it's like, okay, you learned that. Now let's make sure you're implementing it well with a deepening, with feedback, with a level of proximity. And that can look like a bunch of different things. It could be Q&A opportunities. It could be Q&A opportunities on coaching calls. It could be Q&A opportunities in more something like a chat channel like Telegram or Voxer or Slack, where they're asking questions and getting feedback. It can be more themed Q&A opportunities, like, okay, we're going to hop on a call, but it's just going to be questions around this topic that you learned in your trainings last week. Keep the questions just related to this focus. It could be more audits, like they're submitting things, or you're doing audits of, if you're a fitness coach, their form, or if you're a business coach, their content or their launch plans, and you can give feedback. It could be more workshop style, like you're co-creating live together in real time. There's a little bit of Q&A feedback, but it's a lot of like ideating and creating live on Zoom in real time. It could be a homework submission where they do some kind of like, okay, here is my submission of my materials that you told me to do, my action steps that you told me to do from X teaching, and maybe you give a level of feedback on it. You get to decide. That leads me to questions coming up. It's like, how much proximity do you want to give? That's going to matter too coming up. But ask yourself, what feedback deepening is going to help facilitate the execution of that? What comes to mind off the bat? It's like, do they need X amount of coaching calls off the bat? How can you add deliverables that foster a level of connection to you inside the offer? So at the end of the day, coaching is relationships. And of course, do people stay because they're excited that they got X transformation, like lose the weight, make the money, whatever it is? Yeah, they want the result. But a lot of times the reason that people stay in containers and don't want to leave communities is because the relationships that they have with the coach and or the community, which we're going to talk about here in a second. So generally a live interactive component is going to add that connection to you. And again, we're going to get to this question based off of the level of proximity. You can decide ways that build a connection to you without necessarily needing a ton of one-on-one access, or if it is higher proximity, of course, you can bring in that higher proximity access. So live Q&A calls, a Q&A broadcast. I know in the Trailblazers, as of right now, when I'm recording this, there's a weekly Q&A broadcast where I drop a thread in Telegram, drop your question below, and then I go through once a week and just go in there and riff and answer all of the questions. And that's a way to get a level of connection to me, and I get to know their businesses better without necessarily getting on calls all of the time. Could it be things like audits where you're auditing a piece of their work? Again, workshops where you're getting on live and workshopping things together in real time and it's super interactive. Is it homework submission and feedback? Is it just a broadcast channel where it's not necessarily even interactive where they ask a question and get customized feedback, but it's just you dropping riffs in a private channel, or maybe it's, a private email channel and they get private emails, or a private broadcast channel on Instagram that they paid for. You get to decide, but even just dropping your voice gives this level of intimacy that they're getting from you, the mentor, coach, leader. That's not just everyone, the masses is getting them, and it feels special and it feels like they're getting a behind the scenes connection to you and extra value. Is there a level of messaging access? Maybe the way that you get to know them is something as simple as an onboarding questionnaire or an onboarding call. You could do it something as short as a 10-minute onboarding call when someone enrolls into an offer and you get to know them and their business better through that 10-minute call. Okay, a whole different relationship with you by the end of that call. Obviously, that's not scalable, but man, that will create depth in connection to you if you have the capacity for that. An onboarding questionnaire, it could be as simple as asking a few questions, getting to know them and their business better. And then when you are on coaching calls, it's like you know them better. Or of course, if you're not a business coach, you get to know what's going on in their life and you know them better. You know details about them, you know what they're going through, and you can have that level of depth in your relationship just by reading a few questions that they answered. Maybe there is a level of one-to-one calls, like monthly 30-minute one-to-one calls or whatever that looks like if it's a higher proximity container, where again you can just go much deeper and have that level of depth with the client. So things to think about. How often do you feel it's necessary to create that touch point for consistent connection, deepening, and implementation? So I asked you, how do you want to create this connection to you? And I asked, what's going to be a way that helps them deepen their execution of the teachings that you're giving them, that's going to actually make sure they're implementing the material well. And just ask yourself, okay, well, how often do you need a touch point with them? Is that twice per week? Is it weekly? Is it bi-weekly? Is it a mix with different deliverables? As an example, for the Trailblazers, I have bi-weekly Q&A calls, but for me at this stage with the humans who are in there now, I thought to myself, you know what? I want to give them one level of extra proximity to me. If they have a question that comes up, I want them to be able to ask it. So there's a one time per week Q&A thread. Like in case of emergencies, I don't want anyone to feel stuck. That's there every week. They're in momentum. And then I get to see their faces and really go deeper bi-weekly. I know the intentionality around those. It doesn't mean you need to copy paste that. No. Can you, if that's like you get that intentionality and you want it for yours? Of course. When you know the intentionality, okay, perfect, amazing. But this is what I chose and I have a reason behind that. For Offer Art, we do a Q&A after every big section of the material. So when we talked about Offer Suite and everything that went into that, a high cash offer suite, then we had a Q&A. Then we talked about being the offer artist. We had a Q&A. Now we're doing more curriculum design. We'll have a Q&A after that. So every big chunk of big information, that's a big stepping stone, a huge piece of the framework, I check in. Any questions? Are you implementing this well? Making sure that everybody feels solid before we move on to the next thing. So that would be more like themed Q&A, where moving through an A to Z curriculum, whereas the Trailblazers is more come one, come all. You're working on growing your businesses. There's not themed Q&A calls. It's what questions do you have? What's going on in your business? Any questions on the table? You get to decide what's right for your offer, okay? How can you format the deliverables to match the level of scalability and price point of this offer? So really just making sure that the deliverables make sense with the price point and the intention of the type of offer in your product suite. So again, I talked about this earlier, and we of course talked about this in the scalability training earlier in Offer Art, but just make sure that you're not giving one-to-one audits and messaging access and weekly calls in something like a low ticket membership, because otherwise, why upgrade? Again, you just capped your income. So refer to the scalability training if you need help with this. If you want to make sure that the deliverables you're giving are matching the level of scalability, it might be as simple as making sure that Q&A calls are truly Q&A style, as opposed to everybody getting a 15-minute hot seat, as an example, when you start to have group offers that have a lot of people in them. Things to think about. Doesn't match the level of scalability. What do your clients need to be doing, working on, mastering in order to get the result? And how can you provide a deliverable that's going to help facilitate that? So think about what they need to get the result. They need consistent action. Do they need to be making a game plan, an execution plan for their specific way that they're going to go about making sure they fit in their action steps and follow through on the transformation? I know for business coaching, it's like creating launch plans, creating content plans to sell out their offer. Maybe if you're a nutrition coach, it could be things like meal prepping, plans for eating out, etc.? Do they need things like practice sessions or role play? So here's a bunch of different examples of that. But as an example, you can do challenges within your offers to help with consistency. So I know for me, within the Trailblazers, I've done things like, a post and sell daily challenge and called it the Make Money Challenge. And if you post in a thread that you post and sold daily for X amount of days in 1 month, you unlock a bonus, you unlock a prize. Or maybe for you, you're a fitness coach and it's a workout challenge. Get Y amount of workouts or eat X amount of protein and then you unlock a prize. Or you're a mindset coach and it's the Move with Fear challenge. And every day that you do something that scares you, you write it in the thread and again, you unlock a bonus. Or you do an embodiment practice challenge if you're an embodiment coach. So looking at, okay, what's going to help them get their result, and can you create a deliverable that's just going to help facilitate that? Again, if it's consistency, what can you create that's going to help facilitate that consistency? And it gamifies the process and it makes it fun for them to want to show up for their transformation. Maybe it's something like, again, making sure that they have a proper plan for their execution. And that could be more like a workshop. Like I have a client who is a weight loss coach and she does monthly meal prep workshops with her clients and they're live once a month. I think she maybe even does that bi-weekly. And it's just like new recipes, they cook together. It's a great way to build connection, right? The community, that it's something they look forward to, and it helps them actually execute what they need to be executing to stay consistent with their nutrition. Maybe you're a business coach and it's workshops where you're outlining launch plans or outlining content. Maybe you're a fitness coach, a kettlebell coach, and you're auditing form in workshops once a month, making sure everybody's doing the exercises correctly. And again, it creates that connection and community. Maybe you want to do more role play workshop styles. I have a client who actually helps coaches be better coaches. So they know how to help clients get breakthroughs faster to get better transformations. And she talks about how really what they need is at bats, like coaching at bats. And she's saying if they don't have a big client roster yet, she can't really control how many at bats they get outside of her container. But what if inside of her container, she gave people at bats where they were coaching each other and doing role play with each other, or workshopping their own blocks and using the other people in the container? That's going to build community within the container, connection within the container, and they're going to get what they need to help them get the result. Practice sessions, at bats, right? Maybe you're a relationship coach and it's like you want to be able to role play in couple connection dynamics and conversations before you go and have that conversation with your partner, before you take that homework into the real arena. It's like you get to practice it within the container, within the offer. Maybe it's something like you submit X homework and unlock Y bonus. Like if there's a workbook that you have for your offer and basically your clients complete the workbook, like, okay, you completed the curriculum design within Offer Art, you filled out that workbook and submit it, you unlock Y bonus. Well, again, it gamifies the process. Now they're excited to unlock Y bonus and they're following through on their homework, which is ultimately going to help them get better results. And again, when they're getting better results, it's a win-win-win-win for everybody. You're going to make more sales when your clients are getting better results. So that's why it's important to really have deliverables that facilitate that. Okay, you with me? We're still going. How do you want clients to feel inside the offer? We talked about this. It's not only about clients getting X results, it's about how they feel in the process of getting X results. Are they enjoying the process of showing up for their transformation? Because of course, transformations take work, it's challenging. Sometimes it can feel hard. Sometimes it's not super fun to do the work to get X transformation, but can you help make it fun and make the feeling exciting, make them fall in love with who they're becoming, bring an ethos to the offer that makes them excited to show up. So as an example, with inside of the Trailblazers, I want everyone to feel very connected to the community, connected to each other, not just connected to me, but I want it to really feel like a really exciting community home space where everybody is rising together. The tagline as of right now is a community of leaders rising together, right? That's very much the ethos of the space. So of course, there's a community chat, a mastermind chat, and I've instructed them how to use that, and they're in there every day supporting each other, giving feedback. It's always blowing up, and that cultivates that feeling of community. So can you create a deliverable that's going to foster that and teach them how to utilize that, which we'll talk about in a second. An example, I also have certain threads that celebrate the ethos that I want to create within the space. So again, within the Trailblazers, there's a Trailblazer moves and wins thread. Like when you make a Trailblazer move with courage, something that's trailblazing, drop it here. When you have a win, celebrate it here, because it creates this culture of brave moves, courageous moves, winning, celebrating, which is an ethos that I want to have in the space. So again, if you're helping clients trust their intuition, could there be a time where you have a trusted my intuition wins thread, or I moved with fear? If you're a mindset coach, you can make these different ways to utilize the space that cultivates culture. It cultivates community culture. And I'm actually even gonna add that here, like it cultivates a culture, because people really stay for that feeling, that ethos, that community culture of the offer. Okay, decide in the trainings that you're doing, this is more of the curriculum design, but you get to decide, are those going to be trainings that you do live on Zoom, or are those going to be trainings that are dropped? So here's what to consider. When you do live trainings, there's going to be more of that connection because it's live. People are on the other side of the screen. They're interacting with the chat box. It's very high energy because there's that live energy. There's more interaction. So you're creating that connection with your people. And I find that if you know a lesson is going to be long, like an hour long, it's great because it keeps people more engaged as opposed to just watching an hour-long training in the privacy of their own home by themselves. But there's also a benefit, I find, to just doing training drops. They're direct, they're to the point. It cuts out unnecessary fluff, and I'll say even, distractions. Sometimes it can be almost like fake productivity to feel like we're on Zoom for a really long time when we don't have to be. When we can cut out unnecessary fluff and just get to the point, know what we need to know, get and go right into action, it's gonna get people into action, which is gonna get them into fast results, right? Which is what we want. So I also find that drops are great for shorter lessons. If you know that you're gonna be able to get your point across in 15 minutes, okay, we don't really need to get on a live Zoom for that. So looking at that for live versus drops. And another thing to ask yourself when you're deciding this is honestly, how do you like to deliver? When you're in your best energy, it's typically best for your clients. I have clients that love a live masterclass, like their energy shines, they're in their zone, they're with their community. And I have clients that detest doing live trainings, and they would so much rather record it, feel grounded, feel really good, upload it, the end, done. So be in the energy that serves you, and it will most likely be what serves your clients. And of course, you can do a mix of both. As you've witnessed in Offer Art, you've seen me very much so do a mix of both. I like to be live on the welcome call. It creates an energy, a kickoff. We're going to be live on our closing call so I can connect with you again before we close out. When I had a longer training that I knew was going to be long when we talked about Product Suite, I did that live. But then when we do Q&A calls, of course, that's live. But then a lot of these trainings, I find that it would actually be a distraction if we needed to be live for every single one of these. And I just want you to get what you need to the point, cut out the fluff, drive fast action, do what you need to do to go create your offer. And so I've designed my choice around live versus dropped trainings to drive the most efficient, effective client results. You can't get it wrong. It's about intentionality. Okay. Okay, number 9, how do you want clients to use the deliverables provided for the best results, and why is it important to use it that way? When you know why the deliverables are there and you can communicate to your clients how to use it, they're going to be bought in to why to use it for their transformation and how to use it. And when they feel safe knowing how they're supposed to use it and why it's important for them, why it's going to serve them, they're bought in and they're going to use it the right way, and they're going to be self-led. So here's some examples of this type of questions to ask on the Q&A versus not. So I've said things before, like in my welcome call for the Trailblazers, here's an example of a good question, here's an example of a less good question, so that they're asking smart questions that help everyone rise to a higher standard. How to navigate the training portal. I don't just say, boom, here's a training portal in the welcome call, which I'm going to walk you through in the next training. The welcome call is going to be where you deliver how clients should use the deliverables. But I talk about, here's how to navigate the training portal, because it's quite a lot of trainings. If I just threw that at them, chances are they wouldn't actually utilize it. But when I say, here's the benefit of the portal, here's how to navigate it for you, okay, now they're going to be bought in why the portal's there and how to use it, and they're going to use it, okay? When you talk about limiting how long a group coaching call can be, as an example, so I say things like, we're not going to be on Zoom for 2 hours because that is that's fake productivity in disguise. We can be on a call for an hour, max an hour and a half, and you guys can use that extra time to actually go take action in your business, right? And I say things like that because I know the why. And when I can explain the why to my clients, then they're like bought into that. Oh, that makes sense. I understand that. I'm going to be concise in how I ask questions. I know the why behind it. Let's move, right? How to show up on one-to-one calls. Are your one-to-one calls more teaching style, where you're leading the calls and you're walking clients through what they need to be working on and you're guiding the transformation? Or is it self-led? One-to-one calls, you need to know what you want to work on. Come onto the one-on-one calls. You need to know what your focus is, and I'm there to support you with what you're pioneering. Okay. Tell them that and tell them why it's set up that way and how they're expected to show up. Because again, when you coach them around this is when your clients will be, quote, self-led, and they will get better results in your spaces. But I see this all over the internet where people are like, clients aren't self-led enough. Are clients not self-led enough? Or did you not explain to clients how to use the deliverables? Did you say, here's a chat? Here's a chat. You have access to me. Here it is. Here's some calls. And you didn't say, here's how to use the calls. Here's the type of questions to ask. Here's how to use the chat. Here's why the chat is there. Here's why the wins thread is there. Here's how to use the wins thread. Here's how that's going to benefit you in the transformation. And you're going to give all of this information in the welcome call. For now, I just want you to know why the deliverables are there and how your client should be utilizing them. Are there boundaries around the deliverables? Examples like, I won't be coaching in the Facebook group or the mastermind chat. You have the mastermind chat to connect with each other. Here's why that's beneficial for you. Here's how to use it. Here's how using it that way is beneficial for you. I won't be in there because insert reason. I won't be in there because I want to focus on serving you on the calls and the Q&A thread. That's where you're going to have access to me. That's where I'm going to be able to serve you best. The mastermind chat is there for you guys to brainstorm or whatever that is, you guys to support each other. Here's how to use it. Here's why that's going to benefit you. Or if they have messaging access to you in some kind of app like Slack, Voxer, Telegram, do you have a limit? Like, please limit your audio questions to 3 minutes max. Why? I'm going to get to this, but you're going to be able to explain why. Because when you ask me an 8-minute question, I lose what question you're asking. And it's actually less beneficial for our coaching. When you can think about your question, limit it to 3 minutes, I know what the question is and I can help support you better. Please don't ask me Instagram questions or coaching questions in the DMs. Here's why. Your people love boundaries, because then when you are clear about your boundaries and what the expectations are for the space and why those boundaries are there to help support everyone, that's when Clients feel very in control of how they are supposed to use the space. They know where the lines are. They know what they're not supposed to cross. They know how they're meant to show up. And when they feel in control and safe utilizing the space because you've laid those boundaries, they're going to use them better and they're going to get better results. So as an example, I won't be coaching in the Facebook group. I want to have one place where I'm focused and answering the questions for you so I can best support you. And that's going to be on our Q&A calls. Boom. And here's how to use the mastermind chat that's going to serve you. Please limit your audio questions to 3 minutes max. Here's why. When the question's longer than 3 minutes, I lose the question. I can help you better when it's focused, when you're focused, etc. I also ask my clients, I didn't include this, but I'll say things like, please don't ask me audio questions in a crowded coffee shop. Why? I can tell I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Please be focused when you plug into this space because I want potency to be the standard for all of us when we plug into the space. Because if we're all potent and focused, everyone's going to get focused and potent results. And that's what I want for you in your business, right? And when I vocalize that and I can explain the why, no one's mad about that. They love the boundaries. Yep, that makes so much sense. Thanks for clarifying. Boom, done. Right? Please don't ask me coaching questions in my Instagram DMs. When you ask me questions privately, it doesn't help the entire group. Ask questions that are going to benefit everybody in the group space. Feel me? Right? So you need to know this because we're going to get to the welcome call. And on the welcome call is going to be where you communicate your deliverables, why the deliverables are there, how to use them, and why the boundaries are there, which is going to make everybody feel very set up for success. All of your clients feel very set up for success in your containers. And that's why we're doing this in this step. Audit. Once you go through all of these questions, just ask yourself, are all of your deliverables actually necessary and required and helpful for your clients? Or are you adding too many deliverables out of ego to try to prove that you have value to give that's actually not necessary and will only create client overwhelm? So I've seen people do things like, we're going to have weekly challenges and every day it's going to change, and every week there's going to be a different assignment, and we're going to have a different Q&A call, and there's going to be a book club, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And I'm like, I ask them, is that so much to do that it already feels stressful for your ideal client or for your paying client rather than actually being of service to what they need to do for the transformation? And sometimes the answer is yes. And I say, okay, cut it. Cut it. What do they actually need? What is actually necessary and helpful and required to move them forward in their transformation? Include the necessary deliverables to help them with connection and implementation of the material. Help them be bought in to the connection to you, the community, the feeling, and the implementation of the material to do it well. Delete the rest. Again, there's no perfect way to do this. You do get to decide what that balance is and use your best judgment. It's just about having intentionality for you, and you have an answer to these questions. Then the final question you can ask yourself is, are there proximity upgrades that you can offer to facilitate deeper client transformations within the offer for those who do want to go deeper? So examples, if you have a group program and you do want to add a higher tier to the offer, you can. Or it could just be short-term opportunities for them to buy. So you could do things like, and if you want to go deeper with me, you can buy messaging access where we're going to do XYZ, and you can do 1 month of one-to-one coaching or 1 week of one-to-one coaching or 1 call of one-to-one coaching. I do this all the time actually within the Trailblazers, where there's only so much proximity within that space, but I'll say, hey, if you want to buy a one-off strategy session where we do XYZ, do it. If you want to buy 1 month of private coaching where we're working on XYZ and Voxer access, do it. If you want to buy 1 week, do it. Or I'll do things, you've seen me do things like in offer art. Oh, and if you want to go deeper, there's a mini mind where there's X amount of calls and we're doing XYZ to support you if you want to go deeper on this work. Cool. Give them that opportunity. Maybe you have a group program and there's some kind of one-to-one coaching upgrade. If you want 30-minute once a month calls throughout your experience, here's the upgrade to do that. Maybe you do monthly workshops for a small group of people. If you want to pay X amount of dollars more, we're going to be doing X workshop once a month, X launch workshop, X content workshop, and it comes at a higher price because it's limited to 12 people in a workshop. I'm making this up. but it depends on how deep you want to go in the workshop. How many spaces are there if you're giving more proximity? You can also do this even with like really low ticket offers. You could be running a 1 week boot camp and then go, okay, and at the end of this 1 week boot camp for $20, there's one group coaching call. I mean, it's an upgrade. It's a VIP upgrade for $20. You want it? Upgrade your 1 week boot camp to have a mastermind group call with me, hot seat Q&A. It's like you can do these everywhere. We're going to talk about this more later on in Offer Art, how to increase sales with the offers that you already have. And this is obviously a method for that. But I want you to be thinking about this now, because if you're thinking, oh, but there's some times where I want to give people higher proximity options. Okay, give them those higher proximity options at a higher price point, but still have your group offer be truly scalable or semi-scalable. Neat. Okay. Action step is to answer these questions and decide your intentional deliverables from your offer. Again, you need to know why you've chosen these deliverables to help foster client transformations to X result, and how your client should be utilizing these deliverables to help them with X result. That is the intention of this offer, is just that the intention of this training is just that you have intentionality around what you're doing. A reminder that you cannot get this wrong. You are the offer artist. These are questions just to get you intentionally thinking. And when you can intentionally think about your offer and what you want it to be and why it's there and how to utilize it and what the boundaries are, that's when you're going to feel really convicted in your work, be able to explain why it's the way it is to your clients. They're going to be bought in and use the space better, get better results. Everyone's going to love the way that they feel. You're going to love the relationships you're building with your clients. You're going to love the way that every offer is structured. Sales are going to go through the roof, all because you had intentionality. So here's the list of questions again without all the extra notes. So if you just want to fill it out here, make a copy of this document and go through it for you. And then you'll use this to have the deliverable offers. So you'll answer these questions and then decide, okay, what are the deliverables for your offers, and create that for your offer. Okay, I adore you. Go answer these questions, go create and decide the deliverables for your offer, and I will see you in the next one.